Okay, recording.
Hi everyone.
Relax your shoulders, love.
Why don't you come over here?
It's so cold.
Okay. I'm warmer than you are.
Well, are we saying hi together?
Alright, so hopefully you guys can hear us. It's finally snowing up here, and there's nothing that could beat the northwestern snow, you know? I mean, you get just enough of the snow to make it pretty, but not too much where you're miserable for 3-4 months. So anyways, today's the first day that it's actually been cold enough and there's been enough moisture for it to snow in our area. And like you can see, the snow is just falling real softly. Like, how'd you say it was falling?
Like inside a snow globe.
Yeah. So we just wanted to come out here and I know it's snowing in a lot of the areas where you guys are from, so we just want to do a quick tutorials and some tips on how to shoot, how to photograph under snow. Okay, here we go. Stop that. Alright, so this tip is going to be for the photographers out there. You got to dress warm. I mean, obviously your subject or your model is going to be colder than you, but you need to move around. You got to be able to think, so make sure you stay warm. The biggest thing is, if you plan to wear gloves like these, make sure that they aren't so thick that you can't control the knobs. Even better if you have gloves that gives you, you know, open access to your fingers so that you can feel the dials on your camera and you can make the necessary changes. But the felt type gloves work well. I mean, they insulate well and they're thin enough to where you can still operate even if you didn't have you know, bare fingers like this. But these are nice because then it gives you more of a tactile feel on your buttons. Another thing is, make sure you insulate well. As soon as your fingers and your toes go and they get numb, then your whole body is going to start to feel cold. Most important thing, of course, is your head. This is where your warmth is. Keep your head warm with a beanie or something. That'll allow you to stay warmer longer. And wear layers. You want to wear nice wool socks. Wool is the key because wool is an insulator. Cotton socks, they don't work too well. So you want to wear wool sweaters and fleece. Those are good materials. So right now I have a couple layers on. I've got a wool sweater on, plus a fleece zip-up sweater underneath as well. And this is just my standard jacket. But as far as layers underneath your pants, you can think about, you know, the Under Armour type things, the synthetic material that, you know, it hugs your body, keeps you warmer. I mean, they make a lot of those for athletics. Those work well. And what I definitely recommend is I don't know if you can see this, but wear waterproof shoes, like hiking boots that are waterproof.
Kick higher.
That way.
There you go.
This?
There you go.
Wear waterproof hiking boots or something so that your toes don't get soaked through, because you'll be stepping through the snow, and if you just wear tennis shoes, you'll soak up your shoes and you're done for. So those are my tips on trying to stay warm. Now here's a tip to protect your gear. I mean, snow is not as bad as rain. Rain, then you have to worry a lot more about moisture. With the snow, it's cold, and it's cold enough to where it stays dry. But if you had slushy snow or you're in some type of rain and you really were concerned about your gear, here's a quick little tip. You get these shower caps anywhere. You know, when you're staying at hotels and they have the shower caps, grab a few of those and cut a hole up here so that it goes through the lens. That way you can still see the LCD screen and everything. And then this will protect you from moisture and stuff. This is not so bad, so we don't really need this. But for the most part, if you get like medium grade to a pro grade camera, you're pretty good. I mean, most of the contact points are weather sealed. You want to double check on that, but like with these, we have the D700 and the D600, and we've shot in rain before, no big deal. Now, when you're out here in the snow, the key thing is that you're battling against the conditions, right? Not only you, but your model or your subject is going through a lot worse than you. So you want to make sure you have an idea of what you want to photograph. You want to make sure you've storyboarded things. Have a good idea so that you're not wasting a lot of time in the cold, so that you guys aren't out here much too long, much more than you need. Alright, so here's a tip. Before you even start shooting, you want to find a nice spot. If there's just only snow on the ground and the sun is out, what you want to do is you want to find a shady spot. The last thing you want is sunlight hitting the snow directly. That'll blow out the whites. Not only that, sunlight hitting your subject, if she's wearing white or he's wearing white, that'll blow out the whites too, and that'll lower your dynamic range. You want to capture as much dynamic range in your frame as possible so that you get more detail and less blownouts. Now here's a tip on getting the right exposure. You definitely want to go to manual mode so that your photos are a lot more consistent. If you happen to go on like aperture mode or auto or something, you'll notice that the snow will trick your sensor. It'll make it, pretty much your photos will be darker because all the white in the background, your sensor will think that, hey, there's plenty of white here, so that means I should underexpose it. That's generally what you're going to get if you put it on auto mode or even just aperture mode in the snow. So what you want to do is you either want to compensate that, bump the exposure a little bit, or shoot in manual mode so that you can control the whole exposure and you don't have to worry about the sensor getting tricked or not. And most important is take a look at your histograms. When your subject is wearing white, you definitely don't want to blow out the white details on what they're wearing. And you definitely don't want all the snow to be blown too.
So what I would recommend for our subjects who are in front of the camera, the cold doesn't really doesn't translate into photos unless
you look cold.
Yeah, unless you look cold. So things to remember, to keep in mind. Don't keep your hands clenched at your side. Just relax your hands. Always try to put a smile on your face, even if it's an uncomfortable one. Because comfortable or uncomfortable smiles, they'll at least translate well in photos.
Try to stay warm, or in your mind mentally warm at least, so that you don't look frigid.
Yeah, just relax, try to have fun. Bring tissue for slimy snot. So here's how I feel. When are we gonna be done? So cold. And then here's me acting warm. Nice weather. Let's do this.
Okay, so now we'll take a few photos on aperture mode, which is pretty much auto mode, and then in manual mode, so that I can show you the difference. Give me a little less body. There you go. This is in aperture mode. I'm at base ISO 200 for the D700 here. And then the shutter is at 1600, f2, 1600 or 2000, it keeps wavering. And then we'll show the photos on the video. But you can see it's a little bit underexposed because the clouds, the bright sky, and the snow, that's tricking the sensor. So I'm switching to manual mode now. So now I'm on manual mode and the exposure is much better. Why don't you look over that way? That glanced right at me. Look like it's dead. Right here? Right here, nice and moody. Pleasant smile. How about, let's try to do, let's see how that looks. No? I'm at f2.0, but the shutter speed is at 800 to get a proper exposure. And that's much too fast to catch any kind of movement, you know? So you're stuck with two things. I mean, you either stop down the aperture, you're at f8 or something, but then I don't want that. I don't want that kind of depth of field. I want to still keep it shallow. The only other way to slow down the shutter and keep the same exposure now is with a neutral density filter, and that's something that would be perfect for this condition. Let me slap it on. I want to get the shutter down to about 1/50th to see if we can capture the motion of the snow, and we'll see if that'll work. Okay, so I put on the 85 millimeter, and I'll grab a few frames with the current settings, which is base ISO is 200, f-stop is f2. Now we're at shutter speed of 800. And since Kay just shifted her direction to the right, I'm going to reframe this way so that we get a little bit of flow. So we get the right flow on the frame. Just a little creative way to frame it. Because if I had it this way framing, then the flow just doesn't work for me. I mean, she's looking one way and your negative space is the other way. So if she's looking this way, I want my negative space to come over here. Oh look, we just have a nice gust of wind. Why don't you look over, play with your hair a little bit, and just look over it. There you go. So we're at 2.8 and 1/60th. Trying to capture some snow in here. And now you can start to see some blurring. Okay, now I'm using a variable neutral density filter, and it allows me a lot of flexibility. I can adjust how dark I want it so that I can get the right exposure. We've got some snow coming down. Just glance over it a little bit, nice and pretty. Now the best way to capture motion is just shoot and burst. Play with your hair on the offhand. There you go, and just glance that way. Same thing, but look right at me. There you go. There it is. Now, if the snow was coming down a lot faster, you'd be able to see a lot more of the captured snow. Let me get in real close.
Want me to throw it?
Sure. Okay. Hold on, not yet. Throw it right at me. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
My nipples are frozen.
Now we're going to go into some tips on actually photographing a subject, and I'll talk about how